another conservative, but this time from the political arena, talk bad about black people. And it's just crazy how they get there. And Larry Elder is one of the worst of all time. Okay? He's back at it again, folks, talking slick about racism. He wants you to think racism, some kind of ghost that black people just made up because they want sympathy or a handout. Somehow this man thinks in this system, in America, there are no privileges. He is watching clips of black babies dying at a higher rate under white doctors, and he still finds a way to twist the facts into like black people the problem. Now listen to this nonsense.
Now, as long as we're on the topic of race, remember Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson's dissent in that affirmative action case? She cited a study that purported to find black newborns have a better outcome with a black doctor. A brief filed by the Association of American Medical Colleges said, quote, "For high-risk black newborns, having a black physician is tantamount to a miracle drug. It more than doubles the likelihood that a baby will live. Yet due to the enduring and significant underrepresentation of minorities in the health professions, many minority patients will not receive care from a racially diverse team or from providers who are trained in a diverse environment," end of quote. And the study was widely covered.
What the hell is even that?
Right there, folks. That should be a story in itself. Black babies survive more when they're under the care of black doctors. Why this man is not focusing on that? Nobody's saying them doctors is racism. It could be a whole bunch of reasons for why this is. But those are facts. And Larry want to act like the real problem is believing racism doesn't exist. Or black people believing racism do exist. We know it exists. I went through it myself every day. The media is the one who made it look like people who talk about racism is making excuses. There's real hardworking black people every day who experience racism who go to work every day. But you don't understand that, Larry Elder, playing defense for your white fans. This man will watch a burning building and blame the fire on the alarm being too loud. And that's the same twisted logic we see when people ignore what the evidence shows. Because while he's pointing the finger at the alarm, doctors and researchers are proving the fire is very real.
There's new research from the University of Minnesota about black newborn babies. So the research shows that black newborns' in-hospital death rate is cut in half when black newborns are cared for by black physicians rather than white physicians. So joining us now live on Skype to talk more about her research is Dr. Rachel Hardiman with the U of M School of Public Health.
What we were really interested in studying with this particular analysis was the patient-physician relationship and if racial concordance, so having a provider, a physician that is the same racial identity as the newborn, if that mattered for health outcomes. Yeah, so we leveraged some really important data across, almost 20 years to look at nearly 2 million births and to understand what was going on here. And what we saw was that when a black infant, a black newborn had a black physician caring for them, the likelihood of infant death decreased significantly.
Does he know the history of what doctors did to black people? He don't know the history. There's many, many years of data. You got 2 million births where black doctors help black babies stay alive. But instead of taking that in and asking why, Mr. Elder out here thinking, how can I downplay this without sounding like I'm in the Klan? This isn't about hating white doctors. This is about confronting biases in the medical field, especially when deaths are involved. And Mr. Elder, Larry, like every good conservative foot soldier, wants to sweep this under the rug. He ain't pro-life. He's pro-denial. Like most conservatives, especially the black ones. Most of them are in denial when it comes to the truth about this country. And he probably didn't trust those stats coming from black professionals. But the numbers aren't just coming from them. Mainstream institutions and researchers are showing the same data too.
Study finds black newborns are more likely to survive childbirth when they are cared for by black doctors. The study, published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, reveals black babies are 3 times more likely than white babies to die in the hospital when they are being cared for by white doctors.
When you look at racism and how insidious it is, I think what we often lose track of is it's not just blatant displays, but it's that unconscious bias that's at play too.
So black doctors, when it comes to black newborns, are more caring, more insightful than white doctors, thus producing a better outcome for black newborns? By the way, do black doctors, when it comes to white newborns, care less and are less insightful than white doctors, giving white newborns care and therefore a worse outcome? Or are black doctors just better than white ones? But wait, the Daily Caller writes, quote, "But the study's methods have been called into question. This reminds me of the research supposedly proving systemic racism by a widely cited, fired former Florida State University criminology professor named Eric Stewart. The New York Post wrote, the academic was fired after almost 20 years of his data, including figures used in an explosive study which claimed the legacy of lynchings made whites perceive blacks as criminals, and that the problem was worse among conservatives. These were found to be in question. College authorities said he was being fired for incompetence and false results. To date, 6 of Stewart's articles published in major academic journals like Criminology and Law and Society Review between 2003 and 2019 have been fully retracted after allegations the professor's data was fake or so badly flawed it should not have been published, end of quote. You see, when the demand for racism exceeds the supply, it becomes necessary to manufacture more racism. And if you have to manufacture or fabricate data to prove it, well, maybe, just maybe, things ain't so bad.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
What he just did there, the data proves racism kills. So he tries to discredit the entire field of research, talks about one dude who fudged data, and suddenly none of this is real. That's the oldest trick in the book. Take one bad apple, connect it in a sneaky way, and pretend it applies to the whole bunch. Come on, man. That's like one crooked cop means all the body cam footage is fake. No. Get real. Larry wants racism to be a myth because he built his whole identity on it. He's made all his money denying it. This is the same guy who once compared black drug dealers to people living in Beverly Hills. Yes, folks, the conversation was about black drug dealers. And he said, hey, ain't no white people in Beverly Hills hanging out on the street corners. You see the little trick there? He didn't compare them to white criminals like the mafia, like bikers, or like regular white dudes who hang out on the street corners. Just go to Boston. He compared regular drug dealers to white people in Beverly Hills. That's the little trick they do. They're always trying to compare our words to their best. Or vice versa, whatever fits the narrative. But racism isn't an opinion. This is a medical outcome. Black babies dying is not manufactured. Okay? What is manufactured is this weak-ass logic. And let's not skip the part where he says, when the demand of racism exceeds the supply. See right there?
You see, when the demand for racism exceeds the supply, it becomes necessary to manufacture more racism.
He's playing a game. He's playing a serious game. That's not delusion. It's just flat out crazy. Because in America, we'll never run out of a supply of racism. The country was built on it. That's disrespectful to every mother who had to bury their child because the doctor saw their pain and didn't think it was real. Larry, you're not a truth teller. You're a gatekeeper of ignorance. And so there you have it, folks. This man just watched a segment of black babies surviving when in the care of black doctors. And somehow he turned it into black folks are just making up racism again. It's unbelievable. But that's the conservative hustle, okay? They see the system failing us and want to blame us, even though we don't control or have no say in anything. We don't control anything in this country, folks. Nothing. And the country's going to hell. And I'm not making it up. I hear old white men say it all the time. This country's going to hell. Yeah, look who's controlling it. And this man want to control the narrative by dismissing data, mothers, doctors, and the dead. So be it, Mr. Elder, because the only thing scarier to them than racism is admitting it is real. And there it is, folks. Peace.